Straight Line is brought to you in part by the Toledo Clinic ENT, specializing in allergy, nasal, and sinus care.
You're watching Straight Line with Dan Rogers, President and CEO of Cherry Street Mission Ministries.
To the Straight Line, and my name's Delray Bush. Today's topic is something that really impacts so many people that both we work with and that are just in the community. Drug use, alcohol use, and when it turns into addiction, that's something we see every day.
No question. I mean, you know, just as a broad issue, Delray, addiction is so prevalent because people are addicted to, man, my gosh, even clinically, people are now addicted to work, we're addicted to chocolate, addicted to shopping. You know, there's a lot of addiction. The reality is that no matter what you're hooked on, whether it's legal or whether it's illegal, it's a substance that the entire reason why you would use the word addiction is because it's destroying your life in some large or small way.
I think it's interesting because sometimes I hear people who can be functioning alcoholics or addicts, but it's really not functional if your whole life is revolving around this thing, this tangible thing that is ruining your life.
Well, think about how we as a community came up with such a horrible way to describe a drunk, right? Or someone on drugs. We call you now functional, which means that as long as you get your job done, as long as, you know, our world isn't falling apart, you're a functional alcoholic. And it's so sterile, isn't it? It's so like separated, that term is so separated from the realities, because as long as I'm not affected, apparently it's going to be okay with me that you're affected, but I'm not being infected by it.
Sure, it's not a fair term to use, of course.
Oh my gosh, how can, it's the worst way to describe somebody.
Absolutely.
Well, you're a functional alcoholic. Oh, congratulations. All right, which means that, again, your alcoholism and the destruction going on in your life is not affecting me, so I'm good.
Sure, and some of the other things that someone can be addicted to is painkillers, you know, cigarettes, those things. Painkillers is one of those things where maybe you had an injury and you're taking one and you realize you don't know how to stop. Yeah,
well, you know, prescription medication is on the rise now in ways that, you know, I think the way that I see it every day, and our guest today, Carter Thomas, can help us out with this as well. It really is almost pandemic because, again, you're taking a legal substance, in this case, prescription medication, and using it illegally, right? And the street value of some of our drugs, Percocet and oxycodone, are just going through the roof at street value. So it's really destructive.
Yeah, it is. What are we expecting to hear from our guest today?
Well, you know, Carter, you know, is Toledo grown, certainly our region homegrown, educated locally, certainly regionally, and really serving our community locally as well. So he's got a lot of history with the kind of fabric of family that it's going to take for someone to become addicted, and is a great expert on addiction. So we're going to hear a lot from Dr. Carter. I call him Doctor, from Carter Thomas today. In the meantime, we've got a quick video to help you understand how you keep Cherry Street operational every single day, and how. Let's take a look.
Imagine being tossed into hell. Imagine standing there. Imagine the heat of it, the flame of it, the worry of it. Now imagine someone is standing right beside you because they are. And you know they're not there for any other reason than you. That is Cherry Street Mission Ministries. We stand in the hell of other people's choosing, on purpose.
And welcome back. That exactly depicts how you keep Cherry Street Mission Ministries operational, and where you keep us operational, because with your support and with your help, and so many times with you exactly, because more than 5,000 of you volunteer at our doors every single year. We work inside the gate of hell. We are not on the outside of people's problems looking in. You expect us to stand inside of the hell of people's lives. Why? Because that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. I love what David said. He goes, if I find my bed in hell, I will find you there. Such a great depiction of how careful God is with our lives. There isn't anything, Carter, that separates us from the love of God, is there?
No, sir.
No, and you and I have experienced this every day in our life. Welcome so much to our show today. I'm so glad to have your friendship and to have you with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me today.
Yeah, you're so welcome, man. Now listen, let's get you chatting about your family real quick. You're married, you got kids. You go to church. You heard me say, you know, you're homegrown, educated locally. Tell us about your life.
Well, I'm married to a wonderful woman, 9.5 years. We have a blended family. We have 7 children, a grown child that's out of the home, thank God. she's raising children, and I have
Boy,
2
when you have kids first, you don't ever really imagine yourself saying, boy, thank God they're gone.
No.
But you know, eventually, all those of us that have had grown children, you're like, man, that was good. I'm so glad. You know,
Yeah.
catch me on the flip side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The word said, train them up in the way they should go. So
exactly.
So
the key emphasis there is, you know, you are not here.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's hard to feed them when they're in the home all the time, you know. So
well, okay.
You know, so we raise them up and teach them how responsibility, so they can go and be independent on their own.
Right.
You know. So
now you heard me say, I don't know that you bill yourself this way, Carter. I just know you in the way that I know you. You know, you're a specialist. You're a people specialist. And certainly you deal with people every day that are going through the various trials of addiction. Can I ask you, why is this personal for you? What made you want to become clinically trained as a licensed counselor so that you can reach into people's lives? Why is this a personal issue for you?
Well, it has touched so many people that I'm connected with, you know, whether it's family members or friends, neighborhoods I grew up in. And so when you see it around you day in and day out, you know, you're either going to say, well, I'm either going to be part of the problem or I'm going to be part of the solution.
Okay.
So I chose to be part of the solution. You know, so an agency that I was working at, where I actually started working in the field, believe it or not, was, you know, drug screens, you know, watching folks go drop.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
yeah. You're working in what we know as a drop clinic.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so from there, it just grew, and I knew that I didn't know enough to be effective in the field. You know, so I was working with people, working at as a house monitor in a couple of agencies that doesn't, right now they don't have residential programs, but that's where I started at.
Okay.
One being Sassy.
Okay.
You know, and so working there, I was realizing that I didn't know enough to be effective in that role.
So simply put, it sounds like every day you're working in close proximity to people.
Yes, sir.
But not really able to know how to reach those same people.
Right.
What did you do about it?
I went back to school.
Okay.
You know, I had to get more education. I had to become trained to be competent because, again, a lot of things was happening in the substance abuse agencies I was working at that I knew nothing about.
Okay.
You know, but I was face to face with these men, in most cases, you know, residential monitor in a facility for men, and I'm seeing these men go through so many life struggles, and I had no clue as to how to help them. You know, so that intrigued me, and so I know I needed to get better equipped so that I could be effective in that field. So.
Okay. Recently, and I mean within the last year and a half, I think, right? Completed your master's degree?
A long time.
How long?
This is my 11th year.
Okay.
In December, it'll be 11 years since I completed my master's degree.
Okay, great. Got your master's degree, and now you are a licensed.
Licensed independent social worker with an S on it.
What's the S?
For supervision.
Okay.
I can supervise other social workers.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. And how do you work and engage with people? What's your choice? You know, I mean, if you are a drug user, we'd ask you what your drug of choice is. If you're working in sobriety as a clinician, I would ask you, what's your drug of choice? What's your people of choice that you really want to reach deep into their heart about?
Oh, wow. Probably marijuana.
Okay, weed users. Well, this is a very interesting demographic, isn't it?
Yes,
because I've never met someone who smokes weed that didn't have good thoughts about it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. The thing that I love about weed users is the thing that they say, well, you know, God gave it to us. You know,
yeah, it's a natural plant.
Yeah.
You can pick it and roll it.
That's right.
Okay.
And I like the fact that they cool.
Okay. No, Carter, help our viewers understand what does it mean when they cool.
You know, so most weed users are so laid back. You know, they mellow. You know, so when they're using a substance, it has the ability to calm them down. So as a drug that helps calm them down, you know, okay, so I want to know why you need to be so calm. What's going on in your world that you feel you need to use this drug to really calm down, to mellow out, so to speak?
Because in effect, this is what drugs do, right? I mean, without making it too loose, right, or even to dismiss it in any way. But isn't that what substances do?
Yes.
Isn't that what's overworking?
Yes.
Overeating. over shopping.
Right.
These are substances that hit our endorphins in a way that, in this case, marijuana, it either speeds us up or it slows us down.
Right.
Right?
The mood and altering change that comes about from, like I said, overworking, gambling, marijuana, smoking, it's just the fact that we're using it to change and alter our mood and our mind. And so that's why people usually reach outside of themselves to grab something, is because they recognize that something inside of me isn't right, and I want something to help me. So they may work more because they don't feel competent at home. For example. That's just an example. You know, so again.
So someone may be overworking because they don't feel that they're enough at home.
Right. They may not see the value, their own personal value at home, but they recognize that at my job, I'm good at this.
I have value.
Yes, I have value. People look to me to help them. You know, so I feel it raises my esteem when I'm working, I'm being productive. You know, and it's really for men. I mean, I've seen it more in cases for men than I do for women. You know, men with a low self-esteem and a low image of themselves, they will work harder to just to be valued, just so that somebody say, I need you to be here. You know, so if I need you to be here, well, I'm going to be here. And then they justify being away from their family because I'm needed at work, and you don't need me to do anything around here.
But, you know, Carter, it doesn't look like that.
No, it doesn't. No.
You know, most people would associate, mostly, per capita, women to have a value issue or a self-image issue. But you're saying that it's as prevalent in men,
yes, sir.
But it's behaving differently.
Yes, sir.
Men, you know, I say all the time, you know, men's a strange species, you know, on the planet.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, we behave differently, and it looks like we're aloof. It looks like, you know, we're focused. It looks like, you know, we don't care.
Right.
But as you sit in front of men, you're telling a different story.
Right. And, you know, I really believe this is why the word said it's not good for man to be alone. Because when we're left alone to our own devices, we do some strange.
Listen, my wife was on an extended mission trip not long ago. We were talking on the phone, and I said, hey, honey, you got to come home. She said, how come? I said, because I feel like I'm de-evolving. I said, I'm concerned if you give me one more week, you're going to come home to a caveman. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I'm one eyebrow, no neck. My knuckles are scraping the floor. I don't know what you're coming back to. So I agree with you, Carter. You know, yeah, there's a reason why the Bible and why God is emphasizing the need for companionship. Mind that down for our viewers.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things is that naturally we all feel a need to belong somewhere. You know, so when we are disconnected, and this is one of the things that I love about Cherry Street Mission, and even as far as their guests, and coming alongside of them to help them, because it's a natural inclination to belong. Love and belonging is a natural survival need for everybody. So
what are the two natural?
Everybody needs love and need to belong to something.
Loving and belonging.
Connectivity. It's the disconnect. It's the disconnect that leads a lot of people to look for something outside themselves to fulfill something that's missing on the inside. So if you don't belong to anybody and you're not receiving any love, you may go places, you're looking for love. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start singing.
No, but
in all the wrong places.
Yeah,
looking for love in all the wrong places.
That's right.
So it has led people to go into places that they wouldn't normally go, and that's where they may find some illicit drugs.
Well, let's talk about gang activity. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a loving and belonging issue, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Because you are going to go to the place where you belong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And when you find guys that has similar interests with you, it's a natural thing. I mean, let's look at how we look as far as football and everything. But again, since we're talking about drugs, I don't know a lot of men that don't like watching football and drink. I mean, I'm saying I know some, but I don't know.
Right. Well, Carter, you live in an interesting world. They're either watching football and drinking or football and smoking. So
come on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This is the people. Exactly. This is the people that you're reaching.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And
what's happening with people when that's going on? When they're reaching for a substance, Carter, help our viewers understand this. When they're reaching for a substance, what are they really reaching for?
I really believe they're looking for some love, and even as far as a healing for the hurt a lot of them may have experienced. Again, a lot of people that I have worked with that have actually got addicted to drugs is either they was brought up in it, so now we talk about environmental.
Yeah, and generational.
And generational, exactly. You know, so if your father is drinking around you, more than likely you'll become a drinker. You know, the smoking is around you, more than likely you become a smoker.
Right.
You know, so it's always there. You know, but sometimes, again, with the belonging, you're just going to be with somebody, but if this is what they're doing, right? If this is what they're doing, and so in order to be accepted into that group, I find myself doing things that I wouldn't even value at one time.
Right.
But now here it is, I'm smoking, I'm drinking, just to be at the game with the guys. You know, but I didn't go there for that.
Do you think that's what our teens are experiencing?
Oh,
you know, we call it peer pressure, right? You know, it's so big, we don't even, I think, even understand what it means, right? But is that what's going on in our teens? Is it what's going on in our adults? You know, we find ourselves maybe reaching for a vodka, we're a tea drinker. Maybe we find ourselves, you know, reaching for a toke on the next weed pass. When normally wouldn't have done it. Is it because, in some cases, what we call peer pressure, this is what I must do or what I've talked myself into doing in order to have those two things you said, love, belong?
Yes, sir. Because especially when we look at it as part of the community.
Okay.
Okay. So we got this common unity, the word community being, you know, the common unity.
Right.
So if the common unity is smoking, drinking, shooting up, whatever, you know, smoking a little weed, you know, doing a little toke, whatever, if that's the common unity that we have, and that's part of the community that I'm involved in, then I find myself doing something that I wouldn't normally do. But this is the community I'm in right now.
Okay.
You know.
Carter, let's talk about the damaging effects that we're having in our community sociologically, right? Because right now, you heard Del Rey and I at the beginning of the show talk about the differences in behavior and the differences in understanding between that we understand as legal, thus acceptable, and that we find as illegal and thus unacceptable. And yet you and I know it doesn't matter the legitimacy of it or not.
Right.
The results are exactly the same.
Right.
Well, I hope our viewers see this from a sociological standpoint, because we face this every day, right? Like, oh man, don't bother Uncle Henry. You know, he's just drinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so what we see, as far as if I'm just a social drinker, right, but it's so acceptable, I may find myself drinking more sociably than I wouldn't. You know, I remember being at a ball game. And I was with some young men that we're trying to teach them not to drink and drug and do crime. And at the ball game, you had a family of 4.
So just to hear you, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a viewer too.
Okay.
I'm watching Carter Thomas. You took some young men to a ball game,
right,
with the express purpose of saying, hey, connecting your life in your daily life to drinking is not a bad idea. And not a good idea.
Right, not a good idea.
What's happening inside that environment?
In that environment, but again, we're also showing them, look, you can go out here and have fun without drinking and drugging.
Got to show them context, right?
Right,
okay.
Right. So we're doing that, but at the ball game, you got a family of 4. The father is here, the 2 children is in the middle, and the mother is here.
What are they doing?
They get the beer.
Okay.
And they passing the beer. Now everybody got to touch it. The son touch it, the daughter touch it.
Right.
You know, the dad ain't just saying passing it over to mama, but even as they watch, the kids is doing this. Wow. Okay, so this is what we do at a ball game.
I mean, I'm chuckling, you know, because the ridiculousness, right, sociologically in our behavior, right, we're completely disconnecting. If we would just stand outside of ourselves, that mom and dad, if you could have just showed them that video, I bet you immediately they would conclude, we got to stop doing that.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If we're going to drink, is just how ridiculous we've become.
But it's the ball game.
Okay. Natural,
America's
acceptable.
Pastime.
Okay.
All right. So it's acceptable. Right.
What's it doing to those 2 kids?
The children are learning that. Okay, I go to the ball game. I'm supposed to drink. This is normal. So when we go to normalizing drinking in society, so you're talking about as far as social drinking. When we go to normalizing, just like y'all was talking about a functional alcoholic.
Right.
You know. So, okay, I'm able to go to work. It don't matter the fact that I got drunk the night before, you know, as long as I'm able to go to work. So then I'm showing my children or whoever's around me, it's okay as long as I'm able to go to work, as long as I'm able to bring the money back. Now, when you stop bringing the money home on Fridays because you're at the bar all weekend, now we got a problem here.
Right.
Because we got bills that need to be paid, children need to be fed.
And you are now disrupting the social norm.
Yes.
Right? So social norm is we're going to continue doing it as long as as long as it doesn't disrupt, like me knowing where you are.
Right.
But now all of a sudden the addiction becomes more public.
Yeah.
right?
When we look at it as far as an addiction and a disorder, let's look at this as far as a disorder.
Okay.
If it disrupts your daily living activities, more than likely it's a disorder or an addiction. It disrupts your daily living activity. So now you are drinking instead of being home with your family.
Right.
That's disrupting.
Right.
You're taking money away that I'm supposed to be going to buy some milk. I ain't bought no milk for the kids that had no cereal.
Right.
I went and I bought beer, and then I bought some drinks for the guys.
Right.
Now I come home and my wife is asking where the milk at.
Right.
Well, the milk money went at the local bar where everybody knows my name. I'm sorry,
Right.
that's different
show.
Different show.
But you know, but isn't that what's going on though?
Oh, definitely.
Right? And so,
Definitely.
you know, if I'm that guy, I'm coming up with a story. I was robbed, I lost the money,
Come
I got
on.
distracted.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the female of the species, they're on to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They know that's not
Oh,
happening.
oh, my goodness.
Carter, we got a couple minutes left. Let's talk to the support system.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that are watching us today, they're like, okay, I'm not addicted, I don't have any of those issues, but man, my husband, my wife, my kids, talk to them for a few moments, give them some hope. What are some fundamental things they can just do internally to begin to put their hands around the addiction going on inside their family?
All right. One of the things is being honest with someone.
Okay.
You know,
How's that look?
calling someone like yourself, myself.
Oh, so
Talk-
you have got to be honest with somebody
Oh, yeah, you got to be honest.
to expand your support system.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
You know, because usually in the family, because a lot of times when it's been a long time addiction in the family,
Yeah.
right, everybody is lying. No, my daddy ain't that bad at drinking. No, my mama ain't popping
Man, that's
pills
so
all the
true,
time.
right?
You know, so here it is, as a family, it's become so dysfunctional that everybody is covering for everybody. Everybody's alibiing for somebody else.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
reaching outside of that nuclear family or the family at the household, you know how we have for coming up, you don't say anything. You know, this happens in the house. You don't
Right,
say
right, right.
anything.
Right,
so
right.
one of the
Nobody's
things
in
is,
our business,
yeah,
right?
we ain't having it. It's important if you go to a church, talk to your pastor. Okay.
Okay.
You know Dan Rogers, contact Dan. You know, here it is, I'm on this show, you can contact me.
Right.
You know, so it's different people that you can reach out to because you need some help. Albert Einstein said like this: the significant problems we face cannot be solved on the same level we were at when we created them. So I have to go to a different level. And sometimes I have to go outside of my household to even reach that level.
Yes.
You know, so it's important that I reach out to somebody because I'm reaching out for help. And when we reach out, we want the gospel to be there and say, hey, look, we can help you with that.
No question about it. And isn't that the gospel of Jesus Christ?
Oh, yes, sir.
You know, you and I know that the gospel is so precise, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we didn't get in trouble in big measure.
No.
You know, we got there in precise measures, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
the gospel of Jesus Christ has to reverse engineer a lot of those things going on in our life. Just in a few seconds that we have left, Carter, how does God do that through you, do you believe, every day as you work with people?
Well, I pray. I have a prayer life. You know,
Okay.
I read the word. You know, I have a relationship with God through worship, through a regular attendance at a church. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
you know, not forsaking assembly with those surround me that believes like I do.
Yeah.
So when people come to me, they can guarantee that I'm prayed up. You know, as we say, because I have a prayer life, because I understand the importance of them coming in front of me, and I don't want to just minimize that and devalue the fact that they have actually called me. They have actually come out of hiding.
Okay.
All right? Because sin leads to shame. They're usually seeing people into hiding. I mean, just look at Adam. He ran after he
question.
sinned. So when people see that but when they come out of hiding, somebody has to be there to help them. And I feel that God has thoroughly equipped me so that when they come out of hiding, I can help the people.
Awesome, man. Carter, you are a good friend. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're going to have you come back. We'll have a longer conversation about how you're helping people in our community.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
I'll be happy to have you back. Well, listen, just in a few seconds that we have, I want to show you how your support is making a difference in people's hopes every single day. Let's take a look together. You know, Cherry Street Mission Ministries from 1947 until this very day has always been about people. People like you. People that come through our doors for a wide range of reasons. So when you financially and prayerfully support Cherry Street, you are actually making an investment in life revitalization. And I think one of the cool things about that is we're all about revitalizing and transforming every life that comes through one of our doors, no matter what the reason. That's the great thing about your support and your investment of Cherry Street, is the way that lives are transformed and changed. Well, Delray, you can see why Carter Thomas is a good friend of mine. I mean, he's engaging, knows his stuff, and man, you know, he is really following God into the deep places of people's lives. It's one of the reasons why when I first met him, I'm like, you know, we are now together, right? I didn't even give him a chance to even discuss it. I'm like, we're together now. But he's a great friend, helps out tremendously at Cherry Street. As you're listening to Carter Thomas today, what did you learn?
I thought it was interesting hearing about the family dynamic and how addiction can really just impact the whole family, and how you really need to go outside the home to get that help sometimes, where maybe you don't know how to talk about it. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you're trying to hide it, and you need the help of a community. I really like focusing on that community aspect, and how important you know, being prayed up is, as he said, or our church, and talking to our pastor.
No question. You know what I learned? I learned that you constantly have to adjust when you're talking to people, because Carter said that he loves working with weed users, right? Because they're calm. Well, I guess if I was choosing a group of people, he's right. You know, you're going to choose the most calm. But what that tells me, and I think what it tells our community, is adjust. Adjust to what the person that God has in front of you, right? Because what most of us want to do is like, hey, stop smoking weed, right? But take them exactly where they are, see God working in their life, and then join God in their life. You know, when you support Cherry Street Mission Ministries, man, that's what you're making happen. What you heard Carter talking about and what Delray and I have been talking about over the last half hour, this is what you've been supporting. This is not only how things get done, but this is exactly the people that God has called you and I to reach. And when you support Cherry Street, and let me give you the key ways you're supporting Cherry Street. Number one, you're showing up in prayer, right? You're actually bending knee and asking God for His grace, His redemptive measure within your community at Cherry Street. And then you're also, of course, engaging yourself as a human being. We call that volunteerism. But there's no better way to show yourself and to show your family that you're engaged in the betterment of your community than actually putting your shoes on and stepping into the life of another person. And the volunteer opportunities are rich at Cherry Street. And then, of course, when you've done those things, when you've prayed and you've supported us with your physical presence and volunteerism, then of course, your financial goes such a long way. As a matter of fact, for $104, did you know you can sponsor 60 people? And think about what that sponsorship means. Think about how you can, for just a minimal amount of $104, support someone through food, through clothing, through shelter, the three things you know we're going to be about. But also, how about that camaraderie? How about love? How about medical services? How about education, helping somebody get back to family through advocacy and standing in the gap where they need you to stand? It's a tremendous, I don't know, frankly, where in our community or in our nation, for such a little bit of amount, you can ensure what Carter talked about today, love and belonging to people who have been absent from a lot of love and a lot of belonging, Delray.
And it's the most important thing.
No question about it. Delray, you've been a great host again today. Thanks for helping me with Carter.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.